Hello, welcome to A Good Life at Soul Haven, and it's great to be joined by Natasha, the loving chef, once again. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm really well, thanking you kindly. Yeah, it feels like ages since we've connected, but it's good to reconnect again.
Yeah, it has been a few weeks, and I'm very excited to hear everything that's been going on because I feel like we're getting into autumn now. We're in meteorological autumn, but I don't know whether the seasons in your garden have caught up. So we're going to be finding out a little bit about that. Also, a lot about grapes, which I think is going to go down well with a lot of people that like grapes for many different reasons. And then also picking out cards for this week and all the other good stuff that we do here on Good Life at Soul Haven. So yeah, how are things going? And tell us, for people that are tuning in for the first time, tell us a little bit about the magical place that is Soul Haven.
Brilliant. So yes, the Soul Haven is based in Malton, just outside Northampton. We are an award-winning community centre committed to building sustainable people. We believe that sustainability is about the planet, but also it's all about sustainable people along the way. It's about people and creating a safe space that people can feel really connected to. Our sole mission is simple: to share practical tools, resources and experiences that help people reconnect with themselves and the nature within. So we look about internal gardens to empower people to become wholly sustainable, happier and healthier.
Amazing. Well, that sounds brilliant. And it is obviously autumn, and we need an update of what's been happening for the final section of summer because last time we spoke to you, it was all starting to bloom into readiness, and now we are getting towards kind of the end of summer and like the final crops of the summer season. So, how are things looking in the Soul Haven garden right now?
Wow. Summer, we've been very blessed with summer, I have to say. It's been very abundant with some things and very challenging in other things. But let's talk about the abundance of everything. So, yeah, we've had a really, really good harvest out in the garden. They all survived the hot weather, thankfully. Some fruits actually blossomed and bloomed and gave us even more fruits, things like the raspberries, the blackcurrants, the redcurrants. We had an abundance of plums this year. Oh my gosh, I've never tasted such beautiful plums. So we have a Victoria plum tree that we planted several years ago, and last year I think we got about half a dozen plums, and this year we ended up harvesting 8 pounds of plums. So yeah, we were very, very happy with that and the amount of growth that the plum has produced for us this year. But of course, like everything, we talk about the balance in life. We talk about that in the plough and the mind. What is so positive and not so positive along the way, and there have been challenges this year as well. Obviously, water being the main thing. But, we're so surrounded here on the farm by such beautiful people. We had neighbours, we had neighbours wheelbarrowing buckets of water from their water butts so they could come and actually water the garden for us along the way. So, yes, that was really very beautiful. Our pond
That's so
turned
kind.
into, yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing. We felt like we were really connected to the community, but also the community connected to us as well. So, yes, our pond turned into a very small puddle at one stage, and it's just like, but we've got so many little creatures in the pond. We've got some newts in the pond and things, so it was really very important to try and keep it as wet as we possibly could along the way. So, yes, challenges with watering very late at night, trying to get the most out of it, and obviously the grass. In the summertime, we normally mulch the beds with the grass cuttings. So the grass cuttings with on top of the beds, on top of the soil, keeps the moisture into the soil so the sun doesn't actually bake it out. But of course, we haven't cut our grass so much this year because it hasn't grown because of the heat. So yeah, so it was finding ways on how we could actually try and keep as much moisture into the earth as much as possible to look after all the little planties that went on there. But yeah, absolutely amazing how well we've all pulled together, from the volunteers, excuse me, the staff members, the water. And yes, I have to admit, we have done some rain dances recently along the
It's been
way.
working though. We've had a lot of rain the last few days,
We
so that
have.
must have been a relief.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on a Zoom call yesterday about in the afternoon time, and it went totally black. And then the thunder started and the lightning started, and we had some real good. I love a good thunderstorm because it clears the air. Good old crackles of lightning, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's good. But it filled our pond up, topped it up, so we're happy with that. So yes, but we are starting to put the bed into phasing it into the autumn and the winter stage. So we're growing more things at the moment, like pumpkins. Oh my gosh, we're abundant with pumpkins. And they're forming in all different shapes and sizes right now. So yes, I'm looking forward to see what they look like in about a month's time with things. And gosh, what else? Butternut squashes. Now, we've never been good with butternut squashes until this year. So we put more plants in than normal, hoping that we would get maybe 8 to 10 butternut squashes from them. But actually, there's out there on the plants at the moment, we've got about 20 squashes growing. So I'm very happy with that one. So yes, but I would say the most abundant thing that we've had this year, and the one thing, obviously we're pleased with everything, but the one thing that we're really, really, really pleased with, 2 years ago we were gifted a tiny little grapevine plant. It couldn't have been any bigger than, I don't know how much that is, like half a foot high. And we planted it inside the polytunnel, and we loved and nurtured it, and it never produced anything until this year. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, we're so proud of
Wow,
these.
look at that.
Yeah,
That is the textbook bunch of grapes.
it
That's the kind
is.
of,
It
if you
is.
were doing some art, that is exactly what you would have as your subject when you're doing a
Yeah,
painting.
yeah.
Beautiful.
And they're lovely. They really are beautiful. They are seeded, but we have received probably about £45 of grapes this year.
Wow. That's amazing.
So,
So we
yes,
definitely need to talk about grapes and then maybe
definitely
some
need to
ideas of
talk
things
about
to do with
grapes.
the grapes.
Yeah, we've had a couple of what I call like open days where people can just come along and harvest. And it's been really good to say that new people have come through the gate and they've harvested things like the lavender, grapes. They're not allowed to walk out without any grapes in the bag. Tomatoes, grapes, lavender, elderberries. Elderberry was very abundant this year. But it's not something that I wanted to use this year because I had a backlog from last year. But yeah, elderberries have been amazing. But this is the super king. This is the
Super
super
keen.
king. Yes, definitely grapes. And grapes are really good for us. They're really, really good for us. And I've learned so many different things. A, what you can do with grape, but also what do they mean? When people are ill and you say, oh, let's take them a bunch of grapes into hospital.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but I'm beginning to understand a lot more depth into it now because they are a real good superfood
Okay.
that we don't really know that much about along the
No,
way.
I
So,
think they're
yeah.
underrated because you just think of them as a way to make wine and maybe something that you eat if there's nothing else that you fancy in the supermarket for a snack.
Yeah.
But like you say, apparently they're really good for you. Maybe we need to eat more grapes.
Yeah, I would recommend it totally. And it doesn't really matter. I know a lot of people are like, well, grapes are really high in sugar, but actually, grapes actually help lower the blood sugars along the way because they detoxify the liver, the blood, and the lymphatic system. So they flush out all the old toxins and get the whole system moving again. So even if you are a diabetic, start with maybe 2 or 3 grapes and slowly introduce them into your system. I've eaten so many grapes this summer.
You always take it for the team. So every
Oh
time
yeah,
we do this, you've
yeah.
been indulging in heavy consumption of whatever we're talking about, and it's grapes this time. But you don't seem to change colour though, so that's good. You
No.
don't have like a Dracula dribble
Oh
down your
yeah,
chin.
no. Bless, but yeah, and they're just like magical things that have just formed in our polytunnel. They're really good to help. Um, it's almost like a soul food because they have got blah blah blah. They have got a sweet tinge to them, which is really great, and it helps the sweet tooth. But it also releases and helps us feel less sad.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
the
even when
feeling
they're
of
not,
lack, sadness, um, and it helps us replace it with joy and abundance and things because obviously every time you eat a grape, it's that explosion of sweetness and goodness that hasn't been modified too much over the years.
mm,
Sometimes you can get like watermelons at the moment. If you buy certain watermelons from certain supermarkets, there's no melon pips
mhm.
in the watermelon, so that's modified a melon. But grapes, people don't seem to modify them quite so well, and they just leave these wonderful traditional fruits alone for us to actually nurture and enjoy with that.
Mm.
So
I
yes,
think it's because they're used so much in making wine. People don't want to change the recipe because it will affect the taste of the wine. And they've like some of these regions where they grow grapes, they want it to have been the same for generations, don't they?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't have a modified wine, a modified grape to make your
No.
Chablais or your Sancerre and things. So yes,
So
but
your grapes that you've got there, are they all black grapes?
all black grapes, yes. And like I say, they are seeded, so they've got little tiny seeds in them. And of course, we're so used to not having seeds in our grape. It felt a bit odd at first to have the seeds back in there. But actually, if you crunch the seeds help you get rid of parasites and things.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you eat the seed as well?
Yep. I make sure I crunch it so it actually cracks the seed rather than going yum 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 and then just swallowing the seeds whole. The things.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
is that better for you if you've released whatever's inside the
Yeah.
seed?
Yeah, if you crack the seeds just with your teeth before you actually swallow the grape that you're chewing, it actually helps A, digestion, but also B, it releases all the goodness from the seed and helps you get rid of parasites.
Very
Yes, those
cool.
wonderful things that nobody ever sees or feels or does, um, but
Mhm.
they all roam around our bodies.
Yeah,
But we won't go into parasites too much because they're
no.
a little bit scary with that. But yeah, but the grapes, they bring us energy, vitality. It's almost like a life force. They've come from the earth. They have to have lots of sun, which is probably why they've been abundant this year.
Mm.
Um, Black grapes obviously strengthen the stamina, immunity, endurance, resilience, both physically and emotionally as well. So, these little babies are just full of goodness.
Yeah, that is brilliant. And it's like you say, they just kind of soak up all the sunshine and all of the all of the healthy natural goodness,
Yeah.
and then it's just there ready to go in a little capsule of sweet deliciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also known for removing brain fog or helping with brain fog because they detox the liver and they detox the lymphatic system. So obviously, then your brain fog is going to be a little bit clearer along
Mm.
the way because you're taking out the toxic overload. Now, toxicity can be anything. Think about how many times a day or how many minutes a day we scroll on our mobile phones or watch on the screens. That's actually producing radiation into our bodies. Not that I want to scare anybody, it's all, I would say, safe, but we absorb a certain amount from our mobile phones and technology and things of radiation. So these little juicy little grapes actually help remove all of that. Clears the brain, clears the fog, and it helps us also get better communication between the brain and the heart and our fingers and things as well. So yeah, it's very good spiritually.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So, say you've come across some grapes. Maybe you've been lucky enough to be able to grow your own grapes, or you've just picked them up in the supermarket because you've been inspired listening to podcasts this week. What should you do with your grapes? What are some ideas of things to use to do with them? Different ways to eat them and
Brilliant.
prepare
Yeah,
them.
ways to eat them. Obviously, they're really good. If you are feeding them to children fresh, just maybe slice them in half because young little ones may choke on them because it's a choking thing. But yeah, but just slice them in half if you're giving them to the little ones. Juice them, put them in your smoothies. That's really helpful. I have a smoothie every single day, and guess what? For the last 6 weeks, it's contained grapes.
I'm not surprised. I would have been able to guess that, I think.
So yeah,
What
but
goes, what goes
smoothies.
well with grapes in a smoothie then? What
Oh,
would you
you
go
can
and do
have
with?
all your berries, like your blueberries, your strawberries, your raspberries. You can have a banana. Banana makes it creamy. You can put some yogurt in there, whether that's plant-based or dairy milk yogurt in there. You can put some cinnamon in there as well, and that gives you a really good hearty smoothie too. I would say have more at the beginning of the day rather than at the end of the day. Beginning because it wakes you up. It gives you that vitality that you look for and the less brain fog during the day. If we have smoothies in the evening, then your body takes time to digest it and you're going to be awake for longer. And yeah, smoothies always in the morning as much as you can. Yeah, and then if you're anybody's like me with an abundance of grapes, I've frozen mine and used them as ice cubes.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
And do they flavour what you've put them in with grape as well, or are they kind of sealed on the?
No, they flavour them as well. So I've been drinking um, things like berry cordial, and then putting sparkling mineral water in them, then putting frozen grapes in there, and it looks like a really good cocktail, but it's actually really healthy. But yeah, freeze them individually, or you can pop a whole bunch into your freezer and then you can just pick them off. And they will last 6 months in the freezer easily. And frozen grapes, if you ever have toothache and you can't get rid of it, suck on a frozen grape and it'll help your teeth, your toothache.
Wow, there's some really good hacks this week.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
full of them this week.
So when you've frozen your grape, can you bite it, or is it like an ice cube? Is it completely solid?
It's more like a slush puppy kind of texture. So yes, you can bite it after a couple of minutes, and yeah, just make sure obviously about the seeds, or if you've got people coming around and you put them in their drinks and things, just pre-warn them they've got seeds in
And the
them.
seeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing some more ideas of what you've done with the rest of your harvest. And then I guess the vine is just going to keep producing grapes and more every year and keep
Yep.
growing.
Yeah, so we cut it back. So once we finished harvesting, there is still more on the vine. So if anybody does want any grapes, then please let me know with things. So yeah, so once we finished harvesting, we cut the vine back. Um, we also try and I can't say that word. Um, make new little shoots. So we cut off the leaves, certain parts of the leaves, and put them in water, and then they grow the roots, and then we can.
Propagate.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you very much. I'm so glad you're here, Chris.
Tricky one.
It's one word that I can't get my tongue around
It's
properly.
yeah, it's these words that sound wrong. That you want to say
Yes.
it one way, but it's actually slightly different, and your brain can't. Yeah.
Doesn't compute. Doesn't compute. So yeah. So yeah. So the vine will slowly, gradually get put to bed over the autumn season, and then if it becomes really cold, then we cover the root of the section with the root with hay or straw just to give it a little bit more warmth, because of course the grape does come originally from hotter countries. and we've just introduced them here into the UK. So yes, keep them nice and warm and tucked up for the winter time. And
Yeah.
lots of people are saying to me at the moment that we're going to have a harsh winter. There's an old wives' tale, isn't there? I don't know if you've heard it, Chris. The more berries on the trees, the harder the winter's going to be.
Well, it's going to be really bad this year then because we've had a lovely summer. But I think I don't know. I've got a feeling it's going to be wet but mild. I think the weather is just going to get hotter in the summer and then just more rainy and just dull in the autumn and the winter. I don't think it's going to be really really cold, but I could be wrong. You know,
Watch this
we'll see.
space. Yeah,
That's
we'll
my
see.
that's my forecast prediction. But yeah, it is starting to feel very autumnal. We've had a lot of thunderstorms last couple of days, lots of rain, and it's getting a bit more windy and breezy. So it does feel like, even though we're not at the official start of autumn, they said on the weather forecast the other day that it's meteorological autumn. So I don't know why they start their autumn a few weeks early, but I think they might be right this time. Unless we get another kind of final sort of Indian summer
Indian
come
summer.
up towards the end of September, but it's looking a bit grim out the window today.
It is definitely, but I'm happy with that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
I'm a,
watering the
I'm a
garden, isn't it?
yeah,
It's a bit of rain dance. It's working.
yes, yes, many a night rain dancing and banging the drum out there, begging and pleading for the rain along the way. But yeah, I prefer the cold where you can wrap up warm rather than the hot that you can't get cool. Kind of
Yeah, I
places. So
I
yeah, I
would prefer
enjoy
it to be
autumn.
cold but dry. I think where you can have a nice walk is
Yeah,
fine, but when it's like torrential rain, you don't really want to be strolling around the woods. But it's not. I mean, a little bit of drizzle's fine, but it has been raining too much recently. I think just all in one go, just spread
yeah.
it out.
Spread it out. If you can rain at night time and then be nice and dry in the daytime, that would be perfect for many
Yeah,
of
that would be
us, wouldn't
fine.
it?
I like listening to rain when I'm trying to sleep. Although we've just spent a weekend in a caravan and that was amplified so much. It's like you just can't. It's like you're underneath a tin roof. Like any kind of rain, even when it's not raining, there's birds scampering around on the roof, so you think it's raining, but it's just tap dancing seagulls. So
I
that's
love
good.
that expression, tap dancing seagulls. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
going into a caravan. Gosh, I can't even remember where it was. I think it was probably North Wales kind of thing. And yeah, I remember the rain beating down
yeah. Oh,
and
it's nice and
cooing.
cozy, but when you're trying to sleep, it's very loud. It's like
Yeah.
on a conservatory or something, when it's just ridiculously noisy. So let's have a chat about autumn, because it's fast approaching,
It is.
and what does autumn mean in terms of kind of your body and connecting with nature and that side of things?
Good question. So yes, so autumn for us at Soulhaven, we believe that autumn begins in autumn equinox, which is the 22nd, 23rd of September. So it is coming around really fast. And then obviously winter starts around the winter equinox, winter solstice, sorry, about the 21st, 22nd of December. So yeah, so we are very much stepping fast paced into autumn along the way. But what is autumn? As us up here at the Soul Haven, but also as a person as well. You know, we embrace and tune into our bodies through exploring of the sounds and things, but the season of autumn is practical planning, celebration, opportunity, strength, and also the time to start resting, reflecting, and investing in us. So, if you think about it, autumn, and I love autumn, autumn is one of my favourite seasons. You know, we picture the changing colours of the leaves to the browns, the yellows, um, excuse me, and reds and things, and then they start falling to the ground. The temperatures change, and we're already experiencing that, and the days become shorter. I can't remember when the clocks go spring forward, fall back. I can't remember when
Back.
that's happening.
I
I
think
think
it's
that's
in a few
October
weeks.
time. Is
Hmm.
it? Yeah.
I'm going to Google it while you're talking.
Yeah. Okay, so but in autumn you also think about the animals. What are the squirrels doing? Well, squirrels, which we're abundant with at Soulhaven, they start storing up their food. ready for the
End of
winter.
October, the clocks change.
Oh, okay. We've got a couple of months yet
A
then.
little bit of time.
Yeah, but squirrels start gathering, they start harvesting, they start storing, they start slowing down. They're not quite so active. And this is the same thing as us. The farmers are out there, they've reaping all their hard work through all the harvest, and reaping rewards of their effort and energy and seeing the evidence pay off. Now, up here at Soulhaven, we also, because it is part of a farm, that we don't have that side to it, but the farmer is very much an active farmer across the 80 acres of fields that we look out to. So he's baled his hay, he's looking after silage and things, so he's actually reaping the rewards of all his hard work at the moment. Excuse me. But also, that's the external side of things with the animals and things, but also internally and inner time is a time to start slowing down. So as animals want to start preparing for hibernation, if we're in our flow of our natural rhythm of nature within, we actually start slowing down as well. We start going to bed earlier because the nights have drawn in and we just want to cuddle up and get underneath that duvet and light the log fire and things. So we actually slow down within ourselves as well. And we start listening and observing and reviewing the season that has just passed. August is really busy, summer is really busy, externally and internally. But now autumn is a good time to take stock of ourselves. What we want to do, start moving forward, dare I say it, in 2026. So I know, don't I'm not saying that 25th of December word yet.
No, don't even go there.
No.
It's
But it
only
is only
just
about
September.
12 weeks away.
Yeah.
But yeah. But we all, what's worked so far in the first 3 quarters of the year? What hasn't worked? Where would we like to be come January 2026? And it is really a time to take time to review, reflect, and work on our personal progress. But also, just like the farmers who are celebrating with their hard work and gaining lots as well, it's also a time for us to celebrate as well, of how far we have come on our personal journey, spiritual journey, work, business, life, and all around as well. So many of us, and I have to put my hand up here as well, are looking for the next thing, are looking for the next thing, are looking for the next thing, rather than actually realising how far we have come and what we have achieved, even in this year of 2025. And we don't take time to celebrate. Sometimes we feel like, we can only celebrate the big wins or the big birthdays or the big job promotion and things. But actually, every single day, each of us have what I would call like the smaller wins, but we don't celebrate them at
And I
all.
think a lot of things are changing so slowly over time that you don't even notice until you look back and say, how were things at the start of the year? How are things now? Oh, actually, do you know what? Yeah, these things have changed very slowly, but they're so much better now than they were. Or I've done an awful lot over a long period of time, just doing little bits every day, and just taking a moment to take stock and just appreciate where you've come.
Yeah, definitely. Part of Ploughing the Mind that we do, one of the sessions is how do we celebrate? And it's really interesting what kind of answers are shared amongst the group, whether it's food orientation, whether it's just going for a spa day, whether it's having a glass of a really nice drink. But a lot of people get stuck on how do we celebrate how far we've come? Because we don't allow it, or we don't acknowledge that's how far we have done. Now, for some people, it's getting out of bed 7 days a week. That's a good way to actually put a measure on it and actually celebrate. Well, okay, so I've been out of bed 7 days this week. That's great. So on the eighth day, I'm going to have a little lie-in, whether that's half an hour extra, 2 hours extra. But that's also a good way to celebrate. We all
Yeah,
go
I'd
for the
love to do that.
chocolate.
So how do you create an 8-day week? That
Well,
sounds great. You just get an extra day off at the weekend. Yeah,
welcome to my world, Chris.
I love that.
Yeah, on the eighth day of the week. I love that.
Sounds almost
But yeah,
biblical.
I mean,
So
it's a really good. We would love to hear your feedback on this, listeners, as well as in how do you celebrate and what do you recognise celebration to be?
I think it's a real skill to celebrate though, because sometimes you say, "Oh, let's go out for a meal and celebrate." You go out for the meal and you're not really feeling it, and you come home and it just didn't really feel like a celebration. And I think to actually properly celebrate, I don't know if you need to have balloons and like party blowers and kind of everybody dancing around going
Yeah.
crazy and maybe sausages on sticks, but I don't know, it just feels like as you get older, it's the celebrations become less genuine. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we also celebrate in different ways as well. Um, whether that is, oh, I'm going to go and buy myself, I don't know, a new t-shirt or a new handbag or a pair of sneakers, or that, yeah, the celebration comes slightly different.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know, and I think a lot of the time there's a difference between an excuse to spend money that you were going to spend anyway and proper celebration.
yeah.
Because, you know, although if you look at the handbag every time and think, yeah, that's my treat for whatever I've achieved, then maybe that works.
Yeah.
You need to associate the celebration with the thing that you're celebrating, I think.
Yes. You need to be able to
But
associate. If I do ABC, then I can go and celebrate and do XYZ with it and acknowledge exactly what it is that you are celebrating after your success of doing something that you may have been procrastinating about, not wanting to do, deflecting, external blaming, but actually you've taken action, actually done it. That could be a phone call. That could be trying to sort out a pile of paperwork. If anybody's like me, I do have an abundance different piles of paperwork everywhere because I'm so visual. I like to see things to remind me of things. Don't put it behind a screen because I it just goes. It's just forgotten about. But
yeah,
yeah, a
it's
day of
fine until someone
decluttering.
tidies up and then you're lost.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because even if I know some people struggle with decluttering, let's just declutter for half an hour a day, and at the end of the week or the eighth day of the week have a celebration and take time to go to the spa or go for a walk in nature and just spend a little bit of celebration time along the way. So yes,
Yeah.
it's a very big subject here at Soul Haven at Plough in the Mind. What is celebration? How do we celebrate? And when is a celebration worthy of it?
Yeah, no, it's a big subject. It's one of those things like how to be happy that it seems obvious, but it's a lot harder. It's easier said than done to just genuinely feel pleased with something that's happened. But I think you're right. If you've set the reward at the beginning, then you can look forward to it and it becomes
Yeah,
more meaningful when it does actually happen.
yeah. And also, if you're writing down or if you're journaling along the way and you're writing, okay, I want to go from here to here. Here's all the little baby steps. Great. But if you write it all down, you can actually see it because we're so busy focusing on the next thing, we tend to forget. Or, I've got something called similar along the lines of gratitude jar. I have a success jar and I put all my little wins into the success jar so I can actually see them once a quarter. And it could be something that some people think very trivial, other things will be very big milestones, but it actually reminds me how far we've come or how
Mm.
far I've come along the way. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a very
So
big subject.
it is a really big subject. So before we move on, we've been talking about autumn. What are some of the things that autumn is commonly associated with?
Yep, there are two sides, like everything. Just like we said at the beginning, there is a great thing and a not so great thing, or positive and not so positive, yin and yang, whichever way you want to say it. So, of course, as we're reaping, reviewing, celebrating, autumn is commonly also associated with self reflections, common questions. What if I haven't done enough? What if something unexpected has happened? Emotions that come up around the autumn time, because a lot of people get a little bit scared that winter's coming, they haven't got enough sunlight, that the sadness of saying goodbye to the long summer days and things. So it brings up a lot of anxiety, irritability, impatience, and also denial as well. Gosh, what else? It's all about taking stock. We've covered that already, and also thinking, but it's also a time to take stock of where you are and put plans into place ready for moving forward. Now, I've had a conversation today with somebody who says, I'm not happy where I am. It's like all they're doing is chasing the tail, going round and round like the hamster wheel, which is very good acknowledgement. And then it's like, okay, so what do you want to change? Well, I don't know. I just want it better. Well, how do you work and know what is your measurement of better? Is it running less around the hamster wheel? Or is it getting off the hamster wheel? Or how do you know? So a lot of it's to do with the measurements of that at this time of year and early planning ready for 2026, which is fast approaching, far too fast for my world. So yes, so yeah, yin and yang in everything. But also, I mean, at Ploughing the Mind, we also talk about the human scale. So for every negative or not so great thing, there is always a positive. But 9 times out of 10, we focus on the negative rather than the positive along the way. Now, I know some people open the curtains in the morning and go, oh my God, it's raining again. I open the curtains and I am so happy that it's raining because, of course, it saves me 2.5 hours of watering.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it would be like, oh no, it's raining again. Oh, I'm just going to have a duvet day today because the rain has affected me along the way. So there is always a positive. I'm really busy. Oh, okay, enjoy the quiet times. Or I've been a little bit anxious today. Well, let me self-care. Yeah. And it's finding that human scale of everything. We do like to challenge people in Plough the Mind and actually get people to write things down if they're focusing very much on the negative. Okay, let's try and find that positive spin on it. And it seems to work. Excuse me, it seems to work quite nicely. And it's a good reminder that it is actually, there is some good out there as well. Because, of course, what you think about, you bring about. And I've gone off on a whole different tangent there. So, yeah. But that's autumn in a nutshell. Along the way, there is some more to come.
Yes.
Nutshell.
In a little pine nut shell or an acorn or something.
Yeah, and the acorns are abundant.
Yeah.
I walked around the garden the other day. We're very blessed to have an oak tree. And I have never seen so many fallen acorns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You're going to have a forest.
Yay! I'm happy about that. So, yes.
Right, well, before we go this week, it's time to pick our cards for the next 7 days. And we've done... Oh, you haven't picked one yet?
No, right. Go for it. Give me a number. Not 72.
72. I'm going to go for card number 2 this time.
Card number 2.
Right near the top.
Oh, assertiveness.
Assertiveness.
Yes, good card.
I think this is really interesting because it's not what people often think it is, which is confidence. It's a very different thing, and you don't have to be confident to be assertive. It's about making sure that people hear what you're saying and expressing yourself in a way that people are going to listen to. And you can do that quietly, and you can do that subtly, and you can listen and then say what you want to say. But being assertive is about making sure that the person that you're communicating with hears what you're saying and that they understand your point of view. Because I think sometimes shouting and yelling and getting cross is the worst way to convince somebody to do what you want them to do. And sometimes you can influence people and be assertive by only just listening to what they've got to say, empathizing with them, and then firmly saying what you think. But it's about not being afraid to say what you think, and not being afraid to say no, not being afraid to not be a people pleaser as well. So this is a really interesting card. There's a lot to it, a lot to unpick.
There is a lot to unpick there, yeah. And, you know, you've said quite a lot about assertiveness already, but I like, if there's a difficult conversation brewing, and we all try and avoid those difficult conversations, but actually to be assertive and write down, not word for word, but almost like bullet points, and take the assertive initiative to write things down, and then you've got something to reference to whilst you're having that difficult conversation, because emotion has become very high, and obviously other people's reactions to what you're saying, obviously they react very differently, and sometimes it doesn't go the way that you'd planned it. But to be assertive enough to actually write down and say, okay, this is what I want to say, this is how I'm going to say it, and this is how I'd like it to change maybe in the future, and things. Just take some positive assertiveness to move forward with a bit of love and compassion towards oneself as well as the other person along the way. Good card.
Yeah, really interesting. And these cards are great because we could do a whole podcast about each of these words.
We could take away.
That could be the next series, the 72 podcast series.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Right, thank you very much for your time this week. And next week we're going to talk about how sometimes you need to just take a moment to think about something.
Nice. Yes.
Because
Love
it
that.
says at the bottom here, next week, need to think of something. I'm looking forward to that programme.
Yep, we'll touch base again then with that. That's really cute.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. Have a great week.
Lovely to have seen you again, Chris, and thank you ever so much for the opportunities.
And good luck with your grape eating challenge.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.